Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Greece once again, and this is another beer that I brought back with me from a trip over there, and it's another brewery who you've not seen anything from yet. So for this one we're going to go to Flaros Beer, and we're having a taste of the Flaros IPA today, which was the second beer that they produced. So it comes in at 5.7%, it's hot with Citra and Simcoe, which is a kind of classic mix if you like, and I know this beer is pretty good. I tried this one on tap at the Lazy Bulldog pub when I was in Athens. I also tried their amber beer as well, which I quite enjoyed, so hopefully I can review the amber for you at some point in the future. But this is a nice beer. I'm looking forward to kind of thinking about it a little bit more for you on the video, so as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Flaros Beer. Very first time I'm reviewing one of their beers on the channel for you. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, prefecture, county, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Greek beers that I've reviewed for you, and that will be getting added to over the next little while, and hopefully in the future I can continue to add to that. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes on Flaros Beer then. So Flaros Beer was founded by Othonos back in 2017, in March of 2017. So they operate as a gypsy brewery, and they brew their beers at the Seros microbrewery, which is near Thessaloniki out in the eastern part of Greece. But they produce the Varia beers there as well, which are apparently really quite nice. But Othonos said that he started homebrewing back in 2010, and he really just loved the craft beer culture and the kind of creative aspect behind brewing beer, that you could mix all these different ingredients together and change so much about the kind of flavour profile for a beer. Like most Greeks, I got the impression when I was chatting to him that he's, you know, quite a bit of a foodie. The Greeks absolutely love their food, which you can understand. But the first beer that they produced was a session pale ale, which I think was 4.5%. They followed that up 6 months later with this guy, the IPA, and then I think it was back in, I think about March or so of 2018 that he said that they started producing their amber ale, the American amber, which, as I say, I tried on tap, and I thought that was a quite nice beer as well. I'm not sure if I preferred the IPA or the amber ale. I always find you have to really try them completely separately rather than sessioning them in a pub to get an idea of what they're all about. But I remember this being a nice beer, and the amber was definitely good as well. So if you get the chance to try some of these Flaros beers, definitely do. I think they're quite hard to get outside of Greece, so I'm not sure at the moment how many of you will be able to find them outside of Greece, and you do need to go to a specialist craft beer shop in Greece to get a hold of these, or a kind of a more craft beery pub if you like. Some of them, they are quite widely available on tap, but the Lazy Bulldog in Athens was one, and there are various other pubs kind of throughout Greece that you can find these. But yeah, an interesting brewery, this one. Thank you to Othonos for giving me the information. They do 3 beers at the moment. I'm filming this review for you on the 12th of May 2018, and at the moment they've got 3 beers, but I'm sure they will expand that profile a little bit later on. So yeah, that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. As I say, check out their Facebook page and their website in the description below, and you can see what's going on there. So yeah, it says on the site here, this handcrafted recipe is a tribute to Citra and Simcoe hops that haunted our minds at the very first sniff. Every single sip of our delicious IPA is bursting with vibrant grapefruit aroma and flavours of citrus and tropical fruit. The bitterness climbed up to 65 IBUs and delivers an exotic hoppy getaway. Taste the unexpected and enjoy real beer. So yeah, nicely presented. This one, it is quite simple artwork, but you know, simple but tasteful is kind of, does seem to have its merit these days when it comes to craft beer. There you can see Flaros on the back and the Flaros symbol on the front, and it is just a plain bottle cap on this one. So yeah, without further ado then, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting and see how we get on. So yeah, so of course a shout out to the guys at Sorry Mum Liquor Store, where I bought this beer as well. They recommended this one to me. I just wanted to get loads of stuff from different Greek breweries, of course. But there you are. So as you can see, and as you would expect, it's poured a nice kind of hazy yellowy orange colour. I actually do remember this beer being a little bit more of a kind of ambery colour, if you like, a little bit of a darker orangey colour on tap. But you know, it should be alright, this one. But as you can see, solid finger of a frothy white head on this one. I would say it's perfect white actually. It's not even creamy or anything like that. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of the head, and you can really smell some of the passion fruit and the mangoes coming out of these hops actually. You know, Simcoe will always give you a little bit of passion fruit, and the Citra will give you the lovely mango notes, and you can smell a little bit of that just kind of coming off the beer. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Yeah, so with this one, as I was saying, a little bit of passion fruit in there. It's the mangoes for me are coming out a little bit more. It's more the Citra, juicy mangoes that are coming out of this beer quite nicely. Yeah. So yeah, definitely mangoes. There's a little bit of the kind of lychee and gooseberry notes that you can expect from the Citra hop as well. As you go further and further into the nose of it, you will get a little bit of lychee and kind of gooseberry coming off the beer a little bit later. I'm not getting so much of the grapefruit from this one actually. They're saying a lot of grapefruit aroma. For me, it's more passion fruit that you get from the Simcoe, and you can get a little bit of grapefruit from the Citra, right enough. But for me, the Citra is more about mango and kind of lychee and gooseberry. You can sometimes get a bit of pineapple out of it, but I'm not really getting that in this one. For me, definitely more passion fruit and mango. What I should say actually, for those of you watching in Sweden, I know there's a lot of folk in Sweden watch my videos. This beer, well, I'm wondering if it will be quite similar to the Hylia IPA that I had. It's using the Citra and Simcoe hops as well, and I'm really interested just to see how this one turns out. But yeah, a little bit of the hoppy side of things, this floral, grassy kind of things. This one leans a little bit more towards the grassy side of beers. The aroma gives the impression that it's quite a juicy beer, this. And then the malt base, there's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness there, but it does lean towards the kind of pale malt, sort of white, wheaty, bready kind of thing. That's what's kind of coming out of the malt base in this beer. But there is a little bit of that almost digestive, biscuity sweetness to it. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. But let's have a taste of this one again then. So this one is the Flaros IPA from Flaros Beer, brewed as a gypsy brewer at the Ceres Brewery out near Thessaloniki. Let's get stuck in. Yamas, Slanja, Skål. Yeah. No, that's definitely a good beer. I'll tell you something though. The bottle conditioning does really give it a different feel from what I remember to having it on tap. The one on tap, it felt a little bit more oily, if you like. It had a little bit more of an oily mouthfeel to it. This one, the bottle condition, I think, is a little bit more crisp, right enough. But yeah, it really feels nice and fresh, this beer. You have a go at this one, you know. This beer to me, it's kind of like a really, if you jump back to maybe like, you know, let's say 2013, 2014, something like that, this is like a really, it's almost a little bit like a kind of nostalgic IPA. If you tried this one back then, it would really be one of these beers that's a bit of a mind blower. I would say that about it. Of course now, we've got lots of different hops, you know, Mosaic and Equinaut and all these kind of things coming in, but with a kind of simple combination, if you like, of Citra and Simcoe, it's one that's really effective, but you don't see it used on its own all that much these days. And there are a few breweries, as I say, Hylia Brewery in Malmö were one, and now these guys are doing it as well. It is kind of cool to see them just take that step back and produce a beer that a few years ago you would have been like, damn, you know, this is it's really nicely done. And that's one of the things. It is a little bit of a nostalgia beer, this one, I find. It feels really fresh as well. And that's what I would say about this beer. It's quite simple in its concept, but it does it really well. And I'm sure I said the same about that beer from Hylia. I mean, this beer, it has the malt base, you know, you can feel that pale malt, that white bready character. It goes right across the middle of your palate. You can feel, as the beer kind of moves further into the aftertaste, there's a little bit of a slightly biscuity sweetness comes out of this one. You can feel maybe a little touch of graininess pushing its way out of the malt base as well. But if you go right down the middle of your tongue, there's a little bit of that digestive, biscuity sweetness to the beer, which is really nice. And then, of course, the more kind of complex notes start to come from the hops, of course. But yeah, that's a good beer. As I say, really simple in its concept, but it just does it really, really well. It just carries itself very, very well. So, hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, tiny little touch of earthiness, but you always get that from the hops. As you come kind of further forward along the sides of the tongue, this beer actually comes across as a little bit spicy, and I don't remember having a Citra and Simcoe beer that has quite that much spice on it. It might just be to do with the freshness of the beer, right enough, but along the sides of the palate, there's a good bit of floral aromaticity there, a little bit spicy, like I was saying, and then round the very front curve of the palate, that's when you get a little bit of that kind of nice, lighter, grassier flavour coming out of the beer. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, just behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those nice kind of juicy, fruity flavours come out of the beer. With this one on the flavour, you can pick up a little touch of that grapefruit that they were talking about. You can feel that just kind of blanketing the front part of your tongue. On top of that though, you start to get a little bit of the lighter passion fruits, and the mangoes are definitely in there. And as you progress further and further into the aftertaste, you've seen how long it was since I took a sip of the beer. A little bit of that grapefruit is just lingering there, but then you start to get a little bit of the lychee. And I would say it's the gooseberries coming out for me quite a bit on this one as well. I want to say there's maybe a wee kind of touch of an almost limey note in the beer too, which is quite interesting. So it does have, this beer is quite interesting because it is quite straight up, but the fruitiness in this one, it does have that complexity. The Citra hop in this comes out really nicely. I always find the Simcoe, it's quite straight up with that sort of passion fruity flavour, but the Citra has a little bit more kind of complexity to it, in that you know, you get the mangoes initially, and then you start to get the lychee and you can get the gooseberries and the lemon limey qualities a little bit later. And this beer is quite good at showcasing that more kind of complex note from the Citra. But as I say, it's a very kind of simple beer in terms of its concept, but it does it very, very well. The recipe of this one, you know, it's a classic recipe. As I say, if you went back to 2014, 2015, this would be one of the beers that you would try and you'd be like, oh, damn, you know, this is really, really good. I think Citra and, yeah, Simcoe and Citra had been out for a little while, but I think that's when Simcoe was starting to kind of come into its prime and be really recognised back in 2014. But it's a really nice beer, this one, so have a go at it if you get the chance. It's a really nice kind of easygoing IPA. That it's very straight up, but it's done very, very well. So thumbs up to Flaros IPA, Flaros Beer for this one. Sorry, I'm saying Flaros IPA. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel of this beer then, I would say mid-bodied. Carbonation does have a good bit of crispness for that. You would expect that from Greece because you know, obviously it's a hot country, they want their beers to be refreshing and things like that. I would say overall, this beer, it's got a little mix between an oily mouthfeel and a wet mouthfeel. There's a good bit of hoppy bitterness in this beer. This beer, the 65 IBUs show through on this one. I have had some of the other beers from Greece that have been up around the 50 kind of mark, and that's a good point to make about Greek beer as well, actually. I found that the IPAs, even though they've got that slightly higher IBU note, they do tend to be a little bit more juicy, and I think that's just because of the way the Greek wines are. It does tend to be the southern European countries like Spain, Italy and Greece, of course, their wines are really nice, very good at winemaking, and they do seem to be able to translate that well into their beers. But I've always found the IPAs from these kind of countries, they do lean a little bit more towards the juicy side of things, particularly with the ones I've reviewed from Greece before. But this beer, it does actually have a little bit more of that kind of hoppy bite to it, which is quite interesting. So maybe I need to kind of revise that kind of prediction that I've got in my head. But like I say, good bit of hoppy bitterness to this beer, nice mix of kind of smoothness and sweetness in the malt base, and there's a good bit of a juicy, fruity character in there as well. So overall, what I would say about this beer, it's a kind of nostalgia recipe, this one. It's really, you know, if you go back to 2014, 2015, this is one of your kind of classic IPAs from that time. It kind of shows you how fast the beer industry's moving, if you like, but it's very, very well done. The amber, I remember the American amber that I tried from these guys was really good as well, so I'd absolutely love to review that for you at some point, but that'll probably need to wait to the future. But in the meantime, Flaros IPA is really good. If you like the Citra and Simcoe hops, then this is one that you definitely want to check out, and it does kind of show you that Greece has a very bright future when it comes to craft beer. There's a lot of breweries there producing some really good stuff. Septem, Seven Islands, Flaros, Strange Brew, you know, all of these other guys. There's a lot of good beer coming out of Greece, so make sure you check out some of these Greek microbreweries. So yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of sign off on this review then. So a big thumbs up to Flaros Beer for this one. They've produced a really nice IPA, and hopefully I can return to them in the near future. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beer is from Flaros Beer. Of course, hopefully I can return to them at some point in the near future. And as always, please, you know, do check out my other reviews, and make sure you let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like me to try. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Flaros IPA from Flaros Beer at Gypsy Brewery, based out near Thessaloniki in Greece. Slange just now, Skol Yamas.